We live in a world blooming with creativity. A world where imagination thrives. A world where, as the city falls into darkness, that imagination puts on its mask. Join us as we delve into the comic book universe and talk to the fans who know and love comic books, and those who contribute themselves to the comic book industry. We talk about how these characters of fiction have influenced generations, and wonder, are comics a dying mode of storytelling? This all leads us to one question. Why so superhero? Superheroes and villains have been part of a huge fantasy genre for decades now. But why do we connect with entirely fictional characters on such an imaginative level? What actually is the difference between a book and a comic book?
Comic books are a unique way of engaging an audience.
Whereas it can tell exactly the same story as a book can, it does it a lot more quickly and concisely.
And you've got the background in comic books, so the pictures kind of give you a hint of the story as well.
When the first modern comic book was released in 1933, its target audience would completely contradict the way we stereotypically see comic books today.
You sort of forget sometimes that not all superheroes are for kids, you know.
I didn't read any comics up until about 18, I guess.
I got into comics because I wasn't the best reader.
I had a friend who used to read the Dandy every time he came out. And so we used to always go and buy the Dandy and we'd sit and read it and have a good laugh.
And you've always kind of dreamed of being that superhero. You've always thought, oh, well, that superhero is good. I want to be like Spider-Man, or I want to be like Batman, you know.
Most of the time, we just see these things as comics and fictional characters and nothing more. However, to the fans, sometimes it's worth thinking that maybe they mean a little bit more.
It was more about the actual characters and characters that I could relate to in more of a way.
Superheroes have kind of always had a big part in your life, because if you think of like Batman, he lost his parents, or you know, Spider-Man, his parents died and then he lost his uncle, and his uncle was, you know, saying with great power comes great responsibility. So I think superheroes have had the worst of life and chose to make the better of it.
Without comic books, I wouldn't really be who I am. They've kind of showed me that women can be strong as men, as with female representation as well as that. It was like, okay, so I can be a hero.
I'm around it every day. I've got brothers and sisters who are now getting into it. Now they produce films and TV series and 95 different stories for one character every week in a comic. It's in your face, isn't it?
Comic books have had a massive impact not only on people's lives but the entertainment industry. Comic book publishers have already branched out into film to create motion pictures of people's favourite comic books. Surely with the implementation of film, comic books wouldn't last very long.
Obviously there's a lot of stuff that they've done differently with the films, because there's some characters they've not introduced yet.
The films don't really do it justice, so I wanted to kind of get into the history of superheroes and find out like the past and stuff, so I just kind of went into comics.
A majority of the movies semi-disappoint me.
I think Marvel especially have just sort of hit their stride and run with it since like the Iron Man films that they brought out, making this Marvel universe now with so many different characters and, you know, spin-off series that all can feed back into the main thing.
And it's not just comic books being made into films. Comics are such a standalone medium that some films have actually made the opposite journey, taking their spot in the Comic Book Hall of Fame.
I've got pretty much every single Star Wars comic. I have pretty much read all of them. Star Wars has been my passion for many years, and I've loved it ever since the first film came out. I didn't want to work for Morrison's any longer, so I decided to come out of there and come into here and be the biggest geek in Manchester.
So we know that comic books aren't going to be taken over by film, but what's so special about them?
Everything in the real world is boring, and anything that differentiates from that is rather entertaining.
They don't really have boundaries. When it came to books, they're more standard. When it came to comic books, they could go so far-fetched that it was unbelievable.
This is so different and outlandish most of the time. Like the things they do you can't expect from real life, and that's what's exciting about it.
I like diving in a world that will never be, if you know what I mean. The fantasy of billionaires who can have their own cave, of aliens from another planet.
Above all, it seems that comic books bring people together and help to generate some wonderful childhood and even adulthood memories.
My favourite scene in Big Hero 6 was when Baymax first started to fly in the air, because it's his first beginning to fly, and it looked really cool how he was about to fly.
My personal favourite would be Jason Todd
being killed as Robin. When they put it out as a poll in America for the fans to decide if he lives or dies, and they decided to kill him off. So I thought that was pretty cool that they left it to the fans to do that.
If I could have any superpower,
Probably teleportation.
Super speed.
Shape-shifting.
Invisibility.
Time manipulation.
Jedi mind tricks.
I think I just want to be Bruce Wayne.
Have lasers come out my eyes.
As well as bringing people together, it looks pretty clear that everyone has a favourite villain,
The Joker.
Harley Quinn.
Galactus.
Darth Maul.
Mr. Freeze.
The Joker.
The Joker.
The Joker.
The Joker.
and a favourite hero.
Batman.
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 Thor.
Ultimately, it seems like the Dark Knight won't be disappearing off our pages anytime soon, and his will to help others rubs off in the real world too. Lenny B. Robinson was nicknamed the Baltimore Batman after he made his own batsuit and decided he was going to start visiting children's hospitals all over America as the Caped Crusader himself. Sadly, Lenny was struck by a car in August 2015 when his Batmobile broke down on the highway late at night. Lenny used his character to enlighten the lives of hundreds of sick children during his time as the Baltimore Batman. He was, still is, and always will be, an excellent answer to the question, why so superhero?